Past studies that focused on this topic often found that the level of lion risk influenced the ecosystem in which prey animals, more specifically herbivore mammals, chose to inhabit. This choice can be referred to as an anti-predation behavior. Another study that focused on lion risk in prey animal sightings also found that prey animals with higher masses were sighted more than smaller animals due to the reason that predators prefer to go after the smaller animals rather than animals with a higher mass. It was determined that prey animals use what are called chemosensory cues that are used to assess predation risk. These cues help prey animals determine who and what may be a predator. Chemosensory cues help prey animals make decisions and choose their behavior in situations that may be mating or eating. Oftentimes, it was found that prey animals disregarded these cues and prioritized mating and eating whenever they had the chance. With this background information, a hypothesis was formed. If there is a lower lion risk, then there will be more prey animal sightings. The central question that arose was, would there be less prey animal sightings in the Serengeti ecosystem in areas of higher lion risk? And the prediction formed was that there would be more prey animal sightings in areas with a lower lion risk, and larger mammals would have fewer predators, leading to more larger mammal sightings. The materials used in this investigation consist of the JMP Starter graphical analysis application, which was provided to us by our lab coordinator, and the Serengeti Snapshot metadata sheet, which included all of the data collected by zooniverse.org. This data was collected by putting over 200 hidden cameras in the Serengeti National Park, and these cameras took pictures every time movement was sensed. The goal of the experiment was to monitor the population of the different species in the Serengeti. The JMP application was used to create graphs and help filter out specific data needed for this investigation, such as lion risk, the number of animals, and the types of species.
For the results, data was arranged into quartile box plot type graphs, with dry line risk on the x-axis and species type on the y-axis. Statistical outliers were marked by black dots in the graph, and the box plots show the minimum value, the maximum value, and the 50th percentiles for the line risk each species was spotted at. To analyze the data, the median value from each box plot was compared among prey species, as the median is a more robust measure of center than mean. The graph shows a minimum median value among prey animals of 4.993 times 10 to the negative fourth lion risk, and a maximum value of 6.755 times 10 to the negative third. As can be seen on the graph, the second quartile for many of the prey species generally falls between 0 and 2 times 10 to the negative third lion risk, which is on the left side of the graph. Figure 2 depicts wet lion risk versus species type in the same graph type as Figure 1. The median value was compared among prey species, showing a minimum median value among prey animals of 0.001 and a maximum value of 0.004. As can be seen on the graph again, the second quartile of many of the prey species generally falls between 0 and 0.002 lion risk, which is on that left side of the graph. Figure 3 displays the mean number of animals captured in a picture at a particular location versus the wet lion risk. The highest mean number of animal sightings was 1.1 animals at 0.00066 lion risk, with the minimum being 1.007 number of animals at 0.0062 lion risk. As can be seen on the graph, more means that were higher in number were measured in the 0 to 0.003 range of lion risk, with fewer data points in the higher lion risk areas.
The hypothesis that lion risk would impact the number of sightings of various animals was supported by the data. The hypothesis was formed from the assumption that prey animals are safer in areas of lower lion risk and therefore will have more sightings in those areas than predator animals who are not in danger of lions. The data showed that there were more prey sightings in lower lion risk areas, which supported the hypothesis and the justification. The results also support the idea that prey animals are aware of the risk of predation and use that awareness to evaluate their decisions such as mating or feeding. An alternative interpretation of the data is that prey animals typically avoid high lion risk areas, which is why the median lion risk in wet and dry conditions for prey animals would be lower than predator animals. There were some outliers. For example, certain animals had larger ranges of lion risk, which we ruled out was as attributed to size because they were not as large as other animals on the species list. But a possible explanation is that these animals both have high running speeds, which allows them to flee from predators more effectively. Some possible confounding factors include prey behavior as a whole, as well as complications with the camera. For example, smaller animals may have been more difficult to sight because of the absence of a 360-degree camera. So even if animals were present in the area, they might have been outside the view of the camera. Despite these possible errors, the findings from the study caused new questions to arise, such as how does proximity to water impact sightings, how does animal size impact the number of sightings in correlation to lion risk, and does time of day alter the amount of sightings, and is there a correlation between time of day and lion risk? These questions could be further tested by comparing the numbers for wet lion risk with dry lion risk and graphing the relationship between the number of animals sighted in an area against the area's lion risk, both wet and dry. Overall, the study was significant because it revealed important behavioral patterns in various species. Not only can it be assumed that prey species are aware of predation risk, but they will make decisions based on that risk. These findings can be used to predict the behavior of other prey species as well as predators. Researchers can conduct more experiments on prey and predator interactions and explore ways that predators may overcome the instincts their prey have. This is important because many of the animals in the Serengeti National Park are endangered or at risk of becoming endangered. By conducting experiments on these species, solutions for helping to maintain the animal populations can be discovered.